Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and welcome to Patron Hangout number 163. Hello, everybody who is in the chat room. These are all my patrons because the Hangouts are patrons only when it's live, but no worries. You can always see all of my videos because every one of my videos does become public once the lives are done. But if you want to be in the chat room for 2 lives a week, which is the Hangout and the live show, the case analysis show on the weekend, please do click on the link below, join Patreon, and join up and support this educational channel and be in the chat room. All right, so I should just double check again. You all can hear me, right? I'm having the silent intro problem again. Last week I had the silent intro, and usually I can hear the intro and then I know the show was on, and suddenly it plays, but it was silent to me. And everybody else said it was silent to them. But when the show is actually on YouTube, you can hear the intro. So I have no idea what's going on. But one of more technicalities, but you can hear me. So it's weird. It's just the intro. For some reason it's going silent during the actual live part. See, this is what Marion says. No intro for me. So I'm going to have to talk to StreamYard. They're really nice and very helpful people, and say, why does the intro not make a sound on the actual live show? It's more technicalities, I tell you. What? You had the introduction? Okay, I'm lost. I don't know. It's bizarre. It's just, and these, people always say, hey, Pat, I see you always have these problems with the technicalities of things. You can't find your pictures. Yeah, let me just show you that, by the way. The reason I have trouble locating the photo sometimes is, see how small the photo is? That is what I have to look at. That's what's on my program here. And somebody sent this wonderful thing about how to put all my photos in files. Well, my photos are in files, but then I have to download the photos to StreamYard, and that's what I end up with is this little strip. And they're so small, they're like a third of a stamp. And if it's a real clear picture, I can see what it is. But if it's something like sort of dark or something, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I try to put them in order, but you can't really see them very well. So that's why sometimes I click on it and go, oh, that's not it. Wrong picture. And sometimes pictures don't come over when they're coming from the cloud. They just don't rain into StreamYard. So there's all kinds of things like that. So they can't be made bigger. See, this is what you think, but this is within a program, and you can't make it bigger because it's not. It's in the StreamYard program. It's not just on my desktop. So people think things can be done that cannot be done. So that's why it's tough. A lot of times when people do pre-taped videos, don't do live, they look so perfect, like they always find everything. No, they don't. They blow it, then they edit it, and they always look. They're so smooth. But we're here. Yeah, it is. It's. I tell you, Sarah, it's. Something goes wrong everywhere. Like this, for example. By the way, some of you have wanted to get my Only the Truth fiction book. This is my fiction story. And I love my book, and it was well received. And it's the first time it's been in print as opposed to ebook. Now, mind you, the way it's in print is it's on print on demand, which means that I don't have a publisher printing out piles of these. This is an ebook that's on Amazon, but I asked it to be print on demand as well. And so what happens is if you really want a print book in your hand, it's $2.99 for just a download for the ebook. But unfortunately, it's $10.99 because I got to print this sucker separately. So it's overly expensive. So many of you will not want to do it. But here's what I just found out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just love my book. And then I'm looking at the inside of this book. I'm like, why is my entire book in italics? I'm like, what the heck? So I go on and look at my ebook at Kindle. It's normal print. It's not in italics. I'm like, well, why is my book in italics? Well, apparently they say if you had italics at some point in your book, the whatever gets confused and it throws italics through the rest of your book as well, even though it's not there. That's what you have to deal with when you're dealing with anything electronic, anything on the internet. So now I have to go back and put in some HTML something or other that will block the italic from here from going over to there, even though it doesn't exist on the ebook. Drives you insane. Anyway, yeah. So, yes, I want to point this out. Taylor says, is anybody anticipating the Delphi trial starting finally, which is tomorrow? And I was going to mention that because somebody did ask me, and it is starting. And I was asked, am I going to talk about it? Yes, but I will not be watching the full trial because I do have a life, and I can't sit there for all those hours a day because most of it's dull and boring. In my opinion, a lot of it's nonsense. But it has to be in the court. That's the way they do things in court. They run through like experts and make them sit there for 3 or 4 hours to explain themselves as, so where'd you go to school? I don't have time to listen to that. So the question is, where is the real good information going to come in? Well, that's a good question. And I would like to know what the prosecution actually has. It is not the Odinists that killed the 2 girls, Abby and Letby. It's not the Odinists. So who was it? And they have determined it is the fellow that's on trial, Richard Allen. I don't know how good the evidence is. I do not know. I know that he confessed a bunch of times, and his defense says it's under duress. So that he was confessing to his wife and other people. He was in the location at the time. He does have a weapon like the weapon. There was supposedly the ammo that was used at the crime was similar to his ammo. But I don't know how good it is. In other words, he may be guilty, but there's not enough really, maybe in my opinion, in the future to actually convict him. Or I may think they have a lot to convict him. I hope they have a good case. I hope they do, because I think that's very, very important, that it isn't so like rocky that they took somebody to court that isn't guilty, or that it is him, but it's just not a good case because they didn't get enough physical evidence. So I don't know. So we'll find out. We'll have to be, a little patient and see. Circumstantial is okay. Circumstantial can be overwhelming. Scott Peterson, by the way, highly circumstantial case, but man, is he guilty. And no matter what the Innocence Project says, and oh, by the way, let's just bring him up just for a second here, because people are upset that he has gotten a deal. Where's good old, see, I can't see the pictures. There he is. Good old Scott. All right, he's now being represented by the Los Angeles Innocence Project. Yes, he is, unfortunately, not in the Los Angeles Innocence Project, which is similar to the regular Innocence Project, that they do not care whether somebody is guilty or not. They just want to get him out and make a name for themselves. So the thing about let me just stop here for a minute for the Scott Peterson issue that people are very upset about. And let me explain it a little bit. All right, so the judge has granted Scott Peterson access to evidence in bid for new trial. Now, what is she allowed access to? All right, there were 600 pieces of evidence that he requested to see. I guess 600 pieces of evidence that weren't in the trial. But anyway, Judge Hill, okay, wait a minute. Peterson's defense, in their attempt to convince a judge he deserves a new trial. Now they're looking for, this is an appeal process methodology, asked for a number of items related to a burglary at a home of Rudy and Susan Medina, who lived diagonally across from the Petersons. 2 men tied to the burglary, Stephen Todd and Donald Pierce, were cleared as suspects in Lacey's disappearance. They're still trying to say this was a burglary. This was a burglary interrupted by Lacey Peterson. She was killed by burglars. And this van that looked like there was blood in it on a mattress, that's where they killed Lacey. And then somehow they figured out where Scott Peterson was fishing and dumped her body there just so he'd be caught and blamed for it. And Scott Peterson, it's just, his misfortune. I got to get this off. It's uncomfortable now. Okay. His misfortune that he's like a psychopath and a liar and a cheat and everything matched him. Bum deal. But this is what they're after. This burned out van they're claiming is where Lacey was killed. There is zero proof linking the burglary to Lacey Peterson. But okay, so now they're still trying to go after that because they don't have anything else. Judge Hill denied Peterson's request for all Modesto police reports the steps officers took to verify Pierce and Todd's alibis and more information about their polygraph exams. But Judge Hill granted Peterson's team access to audio and video recordings and transcripts of the suspects' interviews with police, as well as handwritten notes from the officers who conducted the interviews. Peterson's team will also be able to review 2003 search warrants relating to the Medina burglary, as well as photos of the evidence found, which include items identified as not belonging to the Medinas. All right. Furthermore, so she has granted them some access. Basically, they're not going to come up with anything, but that's not the problem here. Peterson's team has focused on Lacey's diamond-encrusted Croton watch, and they said that they checked with the pawn shop, and it wasn't. That's some other watch. It wasn't hers. Okay, ignore that. Investigators tracked down the leads. Yeah, they weren't. Okay. Peterson and his team had previously asked to be allowed to perform DNA testing on a blood-stained mattress found in a burned-out orange van less than a mile from the Petersons' home the day Lacey was reported missing. Hill previously denied their request and noted in her latest rulings, listen to this ruling, the court does not view the orange van evidence as casting doubt on Peterson's guilt. Just because there's a burnt-out van in the vicinity doesn't mean it has anything to do with Peterson's case, because Peterson was found guilty because of the overwhelming evidence, though circumstantial it may be. Because no witness or forensic evidence obtained ever established that Lacey Peterson was in the orange van. However, it was apparent based on the involvement of Detective Shipley and the cross-referencing of the investigation of the two cases that the orange van was part of the investigation of the offenses charged. All right, so there was no human blood known to be in that van. So, and the whole thing is nonsense. But they're allowing them to do certain things. In July, Judge Hill allowed DNA testing on a piece of duct tape recovered from Lacey Peterson's pants at the time of her autopsy. Okay, how good that's going to be is questionable. If Peterson's DNA, first of all, it was in the water, but okay, let's say somehow because it was wrapped around, DNA stayed in there. If Peterson's DNA is there, well, then that cooks him some more. However, let's say there's somebody else's DNA. It all depends whose DNA it is. Could it have been, I don't even know. But the chances of being the two burglars is, let me put it this way. If the two burglars' DNA was on that tape, I'm going to say the Innocence Project got it, the LA Innocence Project actually got it right. What are the chances of the burglar's DNA being in that tape? About zero. but I will say, oh my God, it's an anomaly. It's an amazing, one of those freaky things. My gosh, Scott Peterson really didn't do it. But so the DNA, she's allowing the DNA tape. Fine. She says, let's see if the burglar's DNA is on there, because she pretty much knows it's not going to be there. So I think this is all going to be a wash. However, the problem that has been going on lately is that it doesn't matter about the appeal process anymore. All you need is a new DA who wants to make his political career based on getting somebody out who the people of the area are claiming is innocent, or the people of the country, or the media is claiming innocent. They want to make a name for themselves. They will rule themselves that they're going to drop the charges. They don't have to even explain it. They don't have to prove why they're dropping the charges. They don't have to prove there was evidence that the person didn't do it. They can just drop the charges because they're now the prosecutors. So they bypass the entire system, the system that supposedly is set up to make sure that everything is done properly, that the case goes to court, that there is a jury, that if the jury finds the person guilty, that they have many appeals that can go appeals to a new actual trial, which sometimes is actually just in the benefit of the defendant because witnesses are now dead. They've forgotten stuff. Yeah, so it's always in their benefit. But to have a DA roll in and completely wipe out the entire history of the case and say, hey, we wouldn't have charged him, so we're going to let him out. That's what my fear is, because this is what the Innocence Project keeps doing, and they're getting more and more DAs to just go with the program because it's popular in the media. So my fear isn't that they're going to find evidence. My fear is that it's just going to be, again, one of these things where the media inclusion with the Innocence Project gets somebody out, and some DA who just wants to be a hero. So that's the problem. Oh, well, wait a minute. This is an interesting point. Courts will typically only reopen a case if it is so deemed necessary to prevent a manifest injustice. Well, if they will redo a, well, wait a minute. Reopen. I'm not quite sure what you're getting at there. What reopen a case is. Who is deeming it necessary to prevent a manifest injustice? That this is what the DAs are doing. They're saying, oh, this person was unjustly convicted. And then Syed, or many of the other people that the DA has just gone, oh, they didn't do it, because one person then decides that they just changed, they don't think it's enough, ignoring the entire history of the entire case and the jury's decision. They decide, oh, this person was wrongly imprisoned, wrongly convicted. One person. That is not what I would call proper way to prevent and manifest injustice. I mean, if it's manifest injustice, let it go back through the appeal system like it was set up, and let another jury find out that it was injustice. Don't just toss the whole conviction because you, one person, decide that. You know, because I give opinions here all the time, and people come back and say, Pat Brown, why should we believe you? Why should you get to, why is your determination correct? Okay, I get your point. But then why is that DA's determination correct without a trial? I'm never saying my determination should put anybody in prison. My determination is, I'm looking at evidence, I'm saying this is what I come up with. That's it. That's not putting a person in prison. So likewise, no one person should just be able to come through politically and toss a case because they feel like it. It's just unbelievable. So anyway, yeah, wait a minute, I like this one. It's based on who has the best public relations. It does indeed. I mean, okay, let me go back and look what Lisa's saying. The new evidence must be considered material, meaning it has substantially altered the outcome of the original decision. I agree with that for an appeal. For an appeal. I don't agree with that if it's just a DA decides the new evidence, whatever the new evidence. Oh, the new DA coming in. Let's see if this happens. I'm curious. After all this nonsense goes around with Scott Peterson, let's see if the new DA, whoever the new DA might be, decides that looking at the new evidence being the van, being the new evidence that there were witnesses who saw Lacey, although that's not new, but he can claim it's new evidence. If he claims it's new evidence and he thinks that would have changed everything, therefore we should let the guy out, one person's opinion should not be ruling this, and that's what bothers me. Yeah. This is okay. Lisa, I love the fact that you are talking about things that should be done. Motion to reopen a case. A party typically needs to file a formal motion with the court outlining the new evidence and why it should be considered. They do, but a lot of times it doesn't matter when people don't care about doing things the proper way. That's where the DAs now are just wiping out cases and letting people walk out of prison. Because when the Innocence Project comes up with this crap, and I prove most of the time, prove is a bad word, shown most of the time why these people are actually guilty. The DA is saying the person's innocent. No, maybe you got him out on a technicality. Say that. Say, hey, there were some issues with the way the whole case was handled. We didn't like the way the prosecution did it. There's technicalities. They should never have been found guilty due to that. I'm not saying he's innocent, but we're letting him go. But that's not what they're saying. They go, oh, he's innocent. The new evidence proved he's innocent. No, it didn't. So there's a whole bunch of shenanigans going on here. And that's my point. All the legal stuff, you're right about, Lisa. But that's not what people are going by. It's a whole new thing that's been happening in the last few years where the new DAs are coming in, the progressive DAs, and they're righting wrongs that they believe are wrongs, just them and them alone. Saying now that we're at the prosecution, we say that the last prosecution sucked and they shouldn't have even prosecuted the guy. So we're going to let him go. It gets political points. That's not the way things should work, but that's what's happening. And speaking of that, there's a guy going to be executed tomorrow. And that is, let me find my little teeny picture. see it? Okay, here he is. Okay, this is what he looked like back in the day. This is Roberson. He was long proclaimed his innocence. Of course he did. Everybody does. After he was sentenced to death for the 2002 killing of his 2-year-old daughter, Nikki Curtis. I want to point out right there, check my, I will link below my whole analysis of that case. The media is still doing the things that the media does. They don't care about the actual truth of the matter. They don't care about the facts. They care about what's popular. Okay. And so this guy is, I'm trying to see if I can find the, oh, here we go. Okay. This is just one of the many media outlets saying the exact same thing. Texas father's execution for murder of 2-year-old daughter could be first in the U.S. over shaken baby syndrome after judge's ruling. It is not a shaken baby syndrome conviction. That's again a lie. It was he shook the baby, but also there were signs that he also hurt her in other ways. So that is not what the conviction's about. Also, by the way, there are toxic levels of medication in the system, which I think he had to put there. I don't know who else would have put those toxic levels in. So there's a whole bunch of other, and his behaviors, which he's not autistic. So that was another big fat lie put out there. So he's now being, by the way, let's look at this picture. Here he is. Now here's Roberson. And you see he's in some kind of, I don't know, hanging out. I don't know if that's lawmakers hold a hearing to highlight Roberson's case and other issues related to convictions based on, quote, junk science. It was not based on junk science at all. But here you have this poor fellow that he did nothing wrong. He was this innocent guy. He had his little daughter with him. She suddenly was unconscious and not breathing. He rushes her to the hospital. He did not rush her. And she was pronounced dead, and he was blamed for what happened to her. And he was this totally innocent dad. This is garbage. So go watch my video on this. I break it down. I was surprised. I was going to do a 30-minute video. It took me an hour and a half to break down every single issue of this case. He's not an innocent dad. His daughter died because of something he did to her. I personally do not think that it was a premeditated homicide. I believe probably because she had constant ear infections and screamed a lot, and he had never been alone with her before, that, he was in prison up until most of the time of her younger life, and she was in the care of her maternal grandparents. That's a whole long story, but he's a long time criminal who is now out and living with his girlfriend, and he got the child for the first time in his hands. He had been around her before, but usually with somebody present. But now he had her by himself because his girlfriend was in the hospital, and she died under his care, and she died within 8 hours of being in his care, or 12 hours. I think she screamed a lot because she was out of her. First of all, she probably hardly knew the guy, and she's screaming because she's in pain. And I think he over-medicated her. Then I think she didn't. That's one possibility. I think he might have hurt her because she was screaming. He might have shook her because shut the heck up. He might have slammed her because shut the heck up. Or he might have given her too much medication and she didn't wake up, and he slapped her around, which he said he slapped her twice. And she's got bruises on her chin. She's got bruises on her chin. He said he put something on her mouth. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff there, and he's not autistic. The dude is likely psychopathic, and he got stuck with a kid that he hardly cared about, and she was a pain in the butt, and something went wrong. Either he overdosed her or he tried to shut her up while she was screaming. I do not believe he sexually assaulted her. I do not. Do I think he should have gotten the death penalty? This is one of the rare cases I do not believe he should have gotten the death penalty because it wasn't a premeditated crime. I believe he should have gotten a long time in prison because he killed an innocent child. But just because I don't believe it's not the death penalty, I also don't believe he's innocent. But the inability of the media to ever be honest just disgusts me. Absolutely disgusts me, because they're supposed to be journalists and they're not. They're the mouth of the Innocence Project in this case, and whatever is popular. So will he be executed tomorrow? I don't know. Probably due to the pressure, there will be a last minute reprieve or something, and he won't be executed tomorrow. I mean, on Friday. I think it's Friday, actually. Friday? Maybe it's Friday. And I'm okay with that, but I'm also not okay with it saying he's innocent. So just the inability of people to be honest. Turtle Boy says he's a journalist. Yeah, that's psycho, and I will say that psycho. Yeah, not a journalist. He's a. I will not go there. Let's see. Oh, this is a good point. Felicity says if they admit they did something small, like hit a kid once or twice, are they trying to minimize what they did to look better? Yes, that actually is good. I don't even know that I mentioned that in my video, so I wish I had. But that is true. It's like saying I had 2 drinks. I only slapped her twice to wake her up. Yeah. Sometimes it's a minimization thing, but again, we have to look at evidence. What can be proven? He does admit to 2, and there's something on her. There's a damage to her chin. There's damage to more parts of her head than shaken baby. There's a lump on her head. I mean, it wasn't a shaken baby syndrome case. That was only one issue of the other issues, and they're lying about all that and saying it's junk science. And they love to use junk science these days. It's like anything that happened 20 years ago is junk science now. Ah, Lord. Yes. I just only is the just word over again. I just only hit her once. Yeah, those are 2 interesting words, just and only. And it's interesting how often they're put into sentences when people are not quite telling the truth. And the other one is no. I know I didn't kill her. Why don't you just say I didn't kill her? Why do you say I know I didn't kill her? So no is another interesting one, which I find quite often in people who I believe are actually guilty. I know I didn't do it. I know. Well, you don't need to say that. I know I went to the store that day. No, just say I went to the store that day. Not I know. Another fascinating little word. So let's see. So that was him. And so Scott Peterson, we'll see what happens. I think he may eventually get the DA, let him out of prison treatment. Roberson, I don't know what will happen with him. Whether he will be found, well, they will go through with it. Again, I don't mind them not going through with it. I mind them lying about that he's innocent. So those are my big issues. Now, but by the way, before I forget, I do want to mention Dogmageddon. For anybody who was here for my Sunday show, I had a problem with what I called Dogmageddon. These are the dogs that live next door to me. There is, let's see, who do we have here? We've got the newest dog. Max is on the right. He's a very elderly German Shepherd, and then we have Rocky, and that is the new Cane Corso. He's 6 months old and huge. And then we have Jasmine, the younger one to the left. And then we have, I forgot my little dog's name. How is this possible? Anyway, him. He's a little yappy thing. Anyway, so because of now the new puppy, which is the monster one in the middle there, Rocky, the Cane Corso. I'm sorry. Oh, I forget the names of the animals here. Gus is on the right. Rocky's the Cane Corso. Jasmine's the other German Shepherd, and Max is the little one. Jeez, I don't know what my brain is at. Okay, so they live next door, and now that Rocky has joined the group, apparently between Rocky and Jasmine, the German Shepherd, there's a lot of playing and yapping and going on. And if one of them gets locked outside, which is what happened on Sunday, it was nonstop during the show, and I did not know what to do. I'm like, what the heck? So pretty much went on for like 30 minutes. It was very unpleasant, and a lot of people said I can't watch this show because they're barking, and I can't blame them. And so I'm like, I live next door, and mind you, these aren't just neighbors. I mean, it's not like I can that's my daughter's dogs. So we've had a chat. I'm like, you can't have your dogs outside during my show. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that happened. She's trying to, we're trying to figure out how to deal with it. Luckily, there is this new thing on StreamYard, which I use, which just came up, which is a background noise elimination or softener. I hope it works in case the dogs get out. But just because you're my patrons, and I want to say this to you, if in the future, I went over there and said, keep the dogs in for 2 hours. Don't let them out. So every time I do a show, I'm going to have to say that or text, don't let the dogs out. Don't let the dogs out. I mean, that song means a lot to me now. But I'm hoping that will work because I've never had problems for the last 3.5 years, except for a real occasional bark here and there. But I mean, this was bad. So that's what I'm going to do. But I will tell you this, if I suddenly hear barking doggies, I'm going to say, hold on, folks. And I am going to have to leave, run out, put the dogs away, run back, and start to continue the show. And it'll only be about a minute or two. But I'm going to have my son edit the show then because, you know, for future viewers, so they don't go, where the heck? She's just going to go running off and not come back. And then they quit watching the show, which is not good for me. So, but if I ever say that, hold on, guys, then I'll have to have my son edit. So that's the only thing I can do. I'm hoping that between our vigilance and this new sound, this background sound quieter, that it won't be a disaster. But not my dogs. It's so annoying. Oh, that's good. Your brain tunes out the yapping. Didn't tune out with me. Oh my God. Yeah. It was very frustrating. Yeah, it's the daughter, my daughter's dogs, not mine. I don't have any dogs. Mac the cat has to negotiate carefully. Mac the cat is on his own thing. He hissed at me, by the way. So my feral cat, yes, I've been feed him at night, and he does lick the food off my hands, the soft food. But then I held out the little treat, and he took it the other day, just took it right out of my hand. And then the next time I did it, he just came up and whacked my hand and went, I'm like, ow. So that wasn't nice, Mac. So I have some more work to do with that animal. Yeah, well, I'm going to work on it because that was very highly upsetting to me. Yeah. So hopefully I can't fix the last show. I had my son look at whether he could remove the background sound, and he said the dogs are so loud that they had the same like loudness as my voice, so he couldn't separate them. So I'm pretty sure that show is what it is. So, but it's very annoying. I can't afford to have pets. Well, there's an advantage then. Oh my God. Yeah, you know, it's always frustrating when it's not your pet and then you have to deal with it. And of course, everybody has to deal with barking dogs or whatever else is the loud music next door, or, you know, that kind of thing. But I've been pretty lucky here that it has been relatively pleasant, that even with the dogs that have been outside occasionally when I've done the show, they're usually pretty quiet, only barking when the Amazon guy comes up. But with a new puppy, that monster puppy, I guess they're just overexcited. And so hopefully the new situation will work out, but it's a little annoying. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Okay, let's go on. I wanted to mention, what's next here? See, I can't see the stupid little pictures. Like, what are those things? It's really, see, like if I'm looking at this picture, all I see is a bunch of brown stuff. Oh, it's the dogs again. You see? See, I can't even see that. Who's this? Oh, I do want to mention this. This is Cindy Ali. She was found not guilty in the sudden death of her severely disabled daughter. Severely disabled daughter, in a verdict that brings an end of a prosecution that spanned 2 trials and more than a decade. She was already sort of exonerated, I think. Let me go to the story. By the way, I do have a video. I'll try to remember to link that one below as well. And this was a really interesting case. So please go and watch the video. You're going to find it, if you haven't seen it yet, it's actually quite fascinating. Because I do think she killed her daughter. But I also feel like I understand why she killed her daughter. And it's a rare case where I'm like, wow, do I really want her to go to prison? So, and it's an interesting situation of how could you even think that way? You know, why just because her daughter was disabled doesn't mean she should get killed. Of course not. But you'd have to watch the whole video to see the whole situation. Anyway, she was found Toronto mother Cindy Ali was found not guilty in the sudden death of her severely disabled daughter in a verdict met with applause in a packed courtroom Friday morning that brings an end of a prosecution that spanned two trials in a decade. Ali is not guilty of murder nor of the lesser charge of manslaughter, Justice Jane Kelly told the Toronto court. The judge said she was left in a state of uncertainty about where the truth of the matter lies around Ali's claim that her 16-year-old daughter, Sanara, died following a home invasion gone wrong on the morning of February 19th, 2011, but said the Crown had not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the mother deliberately planned the first-degree murder of her daughter. I don't believe it was deliberately planned. In a mercy killing, I do believe it was a mercy killing, by smothering and then staged the home. Nor had the Crown proven its theory for second-degree murder, which is what I think it was, that Ali snapped, I agree with that, and killed Sanara before making it appear as though a break-in had taken place. As for manslaughter, which the Crown argued could be the outcome if Sanara went into medical distress and Ali did not try to save her, Kelly was not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that she failed to provide the necessities of life, which would have amounted to criminal negligence causing death. I'm okay with that one too. Ali stood in court as Kelly explained the bottom line: she's not guilty of anything. That is a lie. That bothers me. All right. Kelly delivered the much anticipated acquittals before a courtroom packed with supporters of Ali and her family, some of whom had attended the judge alone retrial. Judge alone. Again, one person, which began on October 16th and on a daily basis. She was flanked by her 3 adult daughters and dozens of supporters from her church. It's been nearly 13 years since Sanara, who had cerebral palsy or cerebral palsy, depending on how you want to say it, died. And police almost immediately focused on Ali as a suspect. And she said it felt good to have it all finished and that a new chapter of her life and her family's begins. And now they can grieve. Okay. Sanara could not walk or talk, could not swallow, and communicated through laughing and crying. She was healthy at the time of her death, though suffered from seizures. And she had had 3 seizures just on the evening before Ali called 911. Now, again, the truth gets lost in all of this. And one person has decided that she's not guilty of anything because she has decided, even though she was convicted, that everything that went before doesn't matter and everything that went before wasn't true and the conviction wasn't correct. One person. It bothers me, it, again, did not go to a full retrial with a jury. If you're going to have a jury system, have a jury system. I don't have a one-person system. Even I don't like a one-person. I'm for a professional jury, but I still want more than one person. You know, I don't want one person, even myself. Okay, I'm going to make the decision. The story about the break-in was so ludicrous, and I go into all of that in the video. How about it didn't make any sense, and I showed what evidence proves that did not happen. Therefore, what did happen was she was alone with the child when the child died. But I do believe it was a version of a mercy killing. I do. I think she couldn't. The seizures, when she saw her child, 16 years this woman cared for that child, and the seizures were getting worse and worse and worse. I think maybe she just wanted it to stop. So I do understand. I can see it. I can see it happening, and she's everybody seems to like this woman. Think she's a great person. She raised all her other kids and did well, and she did raise this child for 16 years. I think it got the best of her. I have much more sympathy for her than I do Roberson. Roberson, I think, is a psychopath that killed his daughter because he couldn't handle the screaming. I think he needs to go to prison for, I don't know that he needed to get the death penalty, but I think he needed to go to prison because he deserved what he got, and to some extent. For her, I think I would call it, if you want to go with temporary insanity on that, I would actually, for once, sort of think it's true that she just lost it and she couldn't stand the pain she saw her daughter in and the seizure, and she just tried to make it stop. I think she's responsible. How we want to punish the responsibility, and some people say, well, just because a person has a disability doesn't mean they should be murdered. I agree with that entirely. but I don't think the plan was murder. I think it was a mixture of just losing it and also not being able to stand and watch her daughter go through another day of this. I have sympathy for her. I just think, again, the way they deal with these things just bothers me, because it's always let's ignore the whole system completely when we feel like it. Even if I don't particularly like the civilian jury system, for God's sakes, if you're going to have a system, you should stick with the system and not have these methodologies of getting around it and having one person make a decision, again, possibly for political reasons or emotional reasons. Maybe the judge really thinks, dang, that poor woman. Maybe she really thinks it was a mercy killing, but she says, okay, they didn't prove anything, so I want to let this woman go, so I'm just going to say she's not guilty of anything. But that's not how a legal system is supposed to work, even if you feel that way. So I have issues with that. Yeah, I've done hospice. It's hard to watch suffering. Absolutely. I mean, that's why there are these occasional mercy killings where a husband will shoot his wife because he can't, not because he didn't care about her and wanted to go off and have a new honey, but just he couldn't stand to see his wife suffering anymore from whatever disease she was suffering from. And so there's people who do that. And this I did not know about. Oh, okay. Now I'm having issues with this. She should have been glad she got away with it. Instead, she's trying to cash in $10 million suit against a city policeman and fireman. I did not see that part, and that bothers me. Yeah, okay. That does bother me. And it does seem that almost everybody who gets out, like what's her face in New Zealand, who killed her four babies, and she's going to get a bunch of money. And all these guys who are supposedly now innocent, who were found guilty of murder, are now coming out and getting, compensations that are just outrageous. Maybe it's possible that people say you better do that, or they'll think you're guilty, because if you don't sue, then I don't know. That's disturbing. That is. Well, good old Ben Crump. That guy needs to go away. Oh, there you go. A huge amount of money, because then they have been wrongfully convicted. See, there's a difference between just being let out, but then there's always the accusation of wrongfully convicted, even if they weren't. So yeah, you can't just you can't say the guy's innocent, let him out of prison, and then say he doesn't deserve some compensation. Well, of course he does. If he's innocent, for God's sakes. If I'm innocent, I'm in prison for 30 years, and damn well I want millions and millions of dollars, so I get to live the last 10 or 20 years of my life in luxury, and give that to my children so they can go to college and all the things they need to do, which I couldn't provide for them because you left me in the damn prison when I was innocent. Of course you have that right. Except most of the time they're not innocent, and they're getting a deal. Thank you, Michaela. Free Jodi Arias. Oh yes, thank you. It was Australian. Okay. Kathleen Folbig, yes. Watch that one too. I did. She's guilty as hell. It's unbelievable that so annoying. But oh yes, Gloria Allred. Oh my God. Yeah, she's out there all over the place too. Haven't got a clue. The problem is no system is going to be perfect. But we're doing things these days, which is very bizarre, that we're pitting, like we're saying that the government is 100% crooked. The police are crooked. The prosecutors are crooked. The government's crooked. Therefore, everybody pretty much going to prison is innocent because they've all been railroaded. Now, it's the inability, again, to be truthful. There are some police which aren't great. There are some prosecutors who I have gone up against, the one for Andrea Sincata. I think she tried to railroad her, Andrea Sincata, who got murdered, her fiance, into prison. She was a progressive prosecutor out in Virginia. She had no evidence to put this guy in prison, and it was appalling. So I'm very much against her. And And I think that was a horrific case. I've seen other cases where I've seen corruption. It does exist, but it doesn't exist in every single case. And that's what it seems to be. It's almost like we're just going to go after every single one of them to say every single one was crooked. Now, speaking of that, let me mention this case, which I thought was interesting. Somebody asked me to look at it. The Crystal Rogers case. Okay, so Crystal Rogers. Let me tell you the basics of Crystal Rogers first. This is amazing that it's going to trial right now, which is something else right there. But this happened in 2015. Crystal Rogers disappeared from her hometown in Bardstown, I don't know how to pronounce it, Kentucky, United States, on July 3rd, 2015. Her boyfriend at the time said she disappeared from their home overnight. Her car was found on a nearby highway. It's always nearby because you don't want to walk too far to get back home, or whoever puts the car there doesn't want to walk too far, or they have to have another car follow them. But, a lot of times it's nearby because it's, easier that way. Anyway, it was found on the highway 2 days later. Rogers' family believes the boyfriend was involved in foul play. He was considered a suspect after he broke off an interview. Her family also believes the case is connected to the unsolved 2016 shooting of the death of her father while he was hunting. In 2023, the three area men, including her boyfriend, were indicted on charges connected to the case. So the family was right on this one. That boyfriend definitely was involved. At the time of her disappearance, this 35-year-old mother here's the three guys, by the way. We have on the left, we've got Joseph Lawson, Brooks Houck, that's her boyfriend, and then Stephen Lawson. These are the two brothers who helped out, at least allegedly. All right. She was a 35-year-old mother living with her boyfriend, Brooks Houck, and their 2-year-old son and her other children. Never do that. Okay. Anyway, Houck is the last person to have seen her, stating she was on her phone playing games at their home when he went to bed. She was gone the next morning when he woke up and the car wasn't in the driveway. Family began to worry after they couldn't contact her. Her car was found with a flat tire 2 miles away, keys still in the ignition. Her purse and cell phone were also found inside. She was officially reported missing. All right. Now, this is why the reason I think this is interesting is right here in this case. Now, the case is going to trial, but I want to point this out. The Ballard family is very vocal about the suspicion of Brooks Houck having some sort of involvement. In an interview, Crystal's sister said he has not offered once to search or help or do anything for the family. On July 8th, Houck was brought in by the Nelson County Sheriff's Office for questioning. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Nick Houck, Brooks's brother and a Bardstown police officer, called mid-interview and told him not to speak with police. The next day, Nick was called to testify in front of a grand jury, which led police to suspect he also had involvement in the disappearance. It was at this time that Nick stopped cooperating with the sheriff's office. However, he did agree to polygraph after being interviewed by the Kentucky State Police. He took the polygraph test on July 20th after being contacted by the FBI. The examiner expressed grave concerns over the results with Bardstown Police Chief McCubbin, and Nick was fired from the Bardstown Police Department, and that's that. He never did get, he was not charged with anything, but I just want to point this out. The police department fired him. The police department interrogated him. The police department had to take a polygraph. The police department fired him. So a lot of times in these cases when things go south, it's always, oh, the police are protecting somebody. It's not necessarily so. If they got a questionable fly. Now I got Flymageddon. There's flies around here. What the heck? When you have, look at that, very annoying. Talk about distraction. When you have a case that goes on for a period of time, it's like, oh, it clearly was they were corrupted. They're hiding somebody. Somebody in the police department's involved. It was a cop who did it. It was, a cop's brother who did it. It's not, most of the time, this is not true. Police do not want some kind of psychopath working within their system. If they know this guy may have been involved in something, they want him the hell out of there. They will get him out of there if they can get him out of there. So they had questions about this guy, and they're like, oh, yeah, we don't want this. He's already done stuff that we question, and we don't want him part of our police department. They're not protecting him. I just want to point that out because that's just, I wondered when I found out there was a police detective who was the brother, not police detective, police officer who was the brother of the main suspect. Now, was he involved, or was he or did he learn something after the fact and could have given information? I don't know. I don't think he was the guy that took her. So the two brothers, I don't know about this case yet. It's just going to court. The two brothers, how they were all involved and who did what, I don't know. But they've got enough people there. So whether the brother was involved in some way, getting rid of her body, I don't know. But it does say this, that there was this white Buick that belonged to the grandmother, and it disappeared. It was a private investigator found that one was parked at the Houck farm the night Rogers disappeared, a white Buick. The Houck brothers' grandmother, Anna Whitesides, owned a white Buick, but sold it several weeks after Rogers went missing. And they tried to get her to testify, and a subpoena stated the car may have been used to dispose of a body, cleaned and sold in an attempt to prevent evidence from being discovered. She refused to testify in front of a grand jury. And so that's interesting. They searched the residences of Whitesides and Nick Houck for DNA. And then the father thing is interesting. 16 months after Rogers disappeared, her 54-year-old father, Tommy Ballard, was shot and killed while he was out hunting on private property. So that's interesting. And the gun of the father was never found, so clearly it was used, I guess, to kill him. And then it wasn't a suicide because the gun wasn't even there. So anyway, it's an interesting case. I'm not going to get into all the rest of it, but I just wanted to point out the issue about whether the police were involved with that case. Well, you got that right. Yeah, they suspect he sold a murder weapon. Yes. Well, whether they can prove it is, and of course they may eventually come back and arrest him. Who knows? How many people here have flies sprayed their screen? I tell you, there's one problem or the other. So, but I may do more on that case at some point when I have the energy. But I just wanted to point that particular thing out. But I'm glad they got going forth with something. Thank God for that. I wanted to, where's this one? Oh, this one is just interesting. I wanted to point out something about this, just because this woman has been missing since, let's see, when was it? 1993. Her name is Katherine Adam. It's a very old case, but what interested me about this was sometimes the way they word things just cracks me up, and I'm like, really? That's the way you're wording it? Okay. Hold on a second. Let me find it. Hold on. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. Okay. So she went missing. She worked. She was last seen at a Quick Shop in 1993 at a convenience store, and she was driving a white full-size Ford van with "She Has Legs" written on the sides in blue lettering. So you can see that's the van there. All right. Her van turned up abandoned at 6:45 p.m. the day after her disappearance. It was abandoned at Russell's restaurant. The restaurant was closed for remodeling at the time. Now get this one. The van was spattered with mud on the outside and blood soaked on the inside. A large amount of blood was also found at a storage unit in West Salina, where Katherine, a saleswoman for the Legs Hosiery Company, picked up stock each day. So she went over to this place and picked up the stuff. There was no sign of her at either place. She was never heard from again. Police speculate someone attacked Katherine when she was inside the storage unit. Why would this be? It appeared they interrupted her in the process of loading the merchandise into her van and leaving the door of the unit open. And there was blood in the storage unit, blood in the van. But the thing that cracked me up, her case remains unsolved and foul play is suspected. You think? It's like, you think? I mean, so you have a van soaked in blood and blood at the place she was at, and she's disappeared. Yeah, I'm going to say foul play is absolute, not suspected. It's like, come on now. Anyway, they have recently found a skull somewhere near that storage unit. They haven't identified it yet. So we may see whether they are able to prove it's hers, but I'm going to say good chance that it is. So just an interesting thing there. So Uh, yeah, she's dead. Well, yeah, she is very, very dead. I want to talk about Lucy Letby because one of the things I've talked about with Lucy Letby, who is a nurse who was convicted of killing a whole bunch of babies off in England. And there's many people that say she was perfectly innocent. Now there's a whole free Lucy Letby group. Oh my God. Yes, there is. But one thing that bothered me before the trial even happened was that there was like zero information about who she was, about her, anything, about her behaviors, how she grew up. And I'm like, to kill lots of babies, you have to be a psychopath. Yes, I'm saying the P word again. You have to be a psychopath. You don't kill babies and are a normal person. All right. You have zero empathy and you're seeking attention. It's Munchausen syndrome by proxy. You're killing babies to get attention, not harming yourself, but harming that. I wondered what in her life growing up, was there evidence of something wrong with this woman? And there's this constant claim that she was this wonderful, perfect person, just happy person, that she was just fine. Was she really? And now there's just stuff coming out, which interests me. Lucy Letby emailed her colleagues at the Countess of Chester Hospital, claiming she had been exonerated and asking them to be sensitive and supportive. She wrote this email in 2017, 6 months after she had been removed from the frontline clinical duties. She claimed that a thorough investigation had established that all allegations were unfounded and untrue, and that she had received a full apology from the hospital trust. Apparently, that was not true. So one has to wonder if she had, none of this is true, that she wrote her friends and said it was true. Therefore, she is a liar. And that is one of those little things you go, maybe that's some information here. Now, here's something else I thought was interesting. Melanie Taylor. The inquiry also heard from a nurse. Now, mind you, you can always find somebody to say something. So there's always that as maybe questionable. Anyway, the inquiry also heard from a nurse who recalled Letby telling her about the death of a child in an excited and gossipy way. She said she could not remember which death it was, but she said she was almost excited to tell me, like, well, guess what happened to the baby? In a way that struck her as off. In other words, that would not be a normal way. When a baby dies that you're caring for, you would normally see sadness. You would not see excitement. So that was interesting. Let's see. She said that there were parts of Letby's personality that were a little strange to me. So I took that as a personality difference between me and her. And that's what a lot of times people say. And we do all have different personalities. It's not like because you have that personality and I have mine, you're the psychopath and I'm not. Often we have different personalities. We don't have to label them all. But she said that she saw that what she saw was a lack of compassion. And she wrote about the death of a baby that was later one of her victims, a lack of compassion. She also said she wanted to get back to the nursery where the boy died to get over the death. She said she needed to let it go or it'll eat you up. I need to go back and have a sick baby to take care of. Otherwise, the image of the one you lost never leaves you. Interesting. I actually don't know that proves that she's weird for saying that. So I'm going to give her a break on this one. I do think it's often very true. If you lose, for example, you lose a pet and that empty space is there, and every day you get up and your dog doesn't come running or your cat doesn't meow and come sit on your lap, that empty spot is there. If you get another cat or dog, then that now becomes something you can focus on and now takes the place of the other one that can't do it anymore. And it's true that eventually that does help erase to some extent. Doesn't mean you don't care. Just means that because you are now focused in the present and don't have just constant memory of the missing, now you have something to take place, that it does help. And of course, when it comes to people, then people get a little angry if you say, well, I lost my baby. I lost a new, let's say I had a stillborn baby and I want to have another baby to take to get over that. People go, well, you can't get over them. And there's a level of truth, but there is also the fact that the new baby will help you focus on the present and helps lower. It takes a lot of the memory. It helps tamp it down a wee bit or even a lot. It doesn't mean you forget entirely. It just means that something else took up that space. So I'm not entirely opposed to what she said. And I would not necessarily say that would tell me that she's a psycho. But I thought this was interesting, though. One nurse said she made a suggestion for Letby to spend time on a special care unit where babies were not as poorly, so she could do nice things like feed and cuddle babies. She was really angry with me. She felt it would be boring looking after special care babies. Now, that's interesting. If you have babies that aren't in that bad a shape, if they die on you, oops, sorry. That's it. There's always some. A text came in. So there you go. Makes a noise. Even when you have it on silent. So if she worked in an area where the babies weren't going to die right away, or weren't so critical, you can't kill them off as easily because it'll be very noticeable. And so I think in that case, she did not want to do that because it was boring. That's a sign language. Boring. Just having to care for the babies and they're not dying on you. So maybe she was an adrenaline freak, but maybe she wanted those children to be enough on the edge where they wouldn't be overly suspected of killing them if she did kill them. And of course, the other thing that's very noticeable is that she had this long-term relationship with a doctor who was that the belief is that she killed a number of these kids so that when the alarm was raised, he would come running. And she had this. So now he claims it wasn't an affair. She claims it wasn't an affair, but boy, did they spend a lot of time texting, talking, blah, blah, blah. It sounded like an affair. But she was obsessed with him. And to get attention, again, one way you get attention is by creating some sort of thing that brings the two of you together and brings more attention to you. You poor dear. He says, oh, you poor thing. He says, oh, you poor, because he feels sorry for her because she has to suffer from the loss of the baby she was caring for. So I'm going to say over time, I think it's going to be a lot more that comes out that Lucy Letby was not. Oh, I want to bring up the other one. Where was that one? That she was this. Oh, she failed the nurse placement. I thought that was really interesting. She was failed nurse placement. Hold on a second. My thing is reloading here. Here we go. And her final report on the then University of Chester student, as the University of Chester student, Ms. Lightfoot wrote, "At the moment, Lucy requires much more support, prompting, and supervision than I would expect at this stage to allow her to qualify as a competent practitioner. She said her clinical knowledge was not where it should be, and she struggled to retain information on medication doses and to recognize side effects of common drugs. She also said that she she was expressionless. She said she was quiet and shy. She didn't show good interpersonal skills with children, parents, nurses, or the wider team. She often had a quite expressionless look, which the staff found awkward. She also heard overhearing an inappropriate comment in the wake of the deaths of two triplets she was later convicted of murdering. She was overheard telling a colleague, "You will never guess what happened," the excitement thing. So she had an expressionless look. That is one of the signs of psychopathy, that you don't have that kind of empathy, caring for other human beings. You might do your job, but that feeling isn't there. So more and more is coming out, and it'll be interesting to see. I'd love to know more about her upbringing, but her parents are pretty quiet, but she had to be psychopathic during her entire life. So there has to be things there, but we haven't heard much about that. The fact she lived with her parents and had a childlike bedroom, that's interesting, says a lot. Very interesting. Empty woman. Well, it's almost like psychopathy is a prerequisite to becoming a nurse because they seem to like this profession. No shade on caring nurses out there. There's a truth to that. A lot of there is an. how can I put this? You get your majority of nurses are great, like you say. They go into the profession because they want to care for people, and they do a fabulous job. But it does have its small portion of people who go into that job for some weird power and control thing. And there's quite a few Munchausen's people, Munchausen by proxy especially. And when you look at their history, they're nurses, or they have been nurses. The woman who killed her 3 children up there in Massachusetts, still waiting on the results of that, was a nurse. It goes on like that quite often. So it is interesting why that would be. The serial killers, on the other hand, that aren't Munchausen's people, they tend to be security guards and handymen, and they have a whole different group of people with things because they love power and control in a uniform. But there are what you call nurses who are anesthesiologists is one too, that you find male nurses and male anesthesiologists also do the Munchausen syndrome by proxy thing where they kill their patients. Go figure. I'm not sure. Uh-oh. Keep your eye on Michaela. Construction, not so much. No, I don't think so. I've never seen that be a big thing. Truck drivers, well, the truck drivers is it's a very mobile, easy way to get away with serial homicides, and there are quite a few that, and it's an easier job to get in the sense that you're by yourself a lot, so people don't have to dislike you. So one of the problems a lot of certain psychopaths have is that they have trouble keeping a job because of their weirdness, that people aren't uncomfortable around them, so they get fired a lot. But handyman, you just have to be hired for the moment. Security guard, you're usually by yourself, and pretty much if you breathe, you get the job, because the amount of people that need mall cops and stuff is outrageous. And truck drivers, same thing. You're kind of by yourself, and as long as you can drive the damn truck, you're good. So that is true. There are arsonists who are attracted to firefighting. Yep, that is true. And there's a certain amount of cops who are psychopaths too, because they love the psychopaths who can get through the test because they want the uniform and the gun. If they can get through the test, then they're there. But most time they get caught on the psych test, but once in a while, not so much. They get away with it, and they get in. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, I just want to mention this UK one, which I think is interesting, just because it's the way things are these days, and this is. I'm going to do one for the U.S., one for the UK, and one for the U.S. This story came out of Bristol, Bristol Post, and boy caught with huge machete. And I don't know how huge the machete really was, because the machete is usually a machete, but all right. Or cutlass, depending what you want to call it. After food is stolen from McDonald's in Broslington. All right, so a teenage boy was caught carrying a huge machete after food was stolen from McDonald's. And I don't know how the food was stolen. Did they order the food and they just grab it and run? I don't know. Footage was posted on social media showing a member of the public confronting the boy, which is brave, and taking his knife after the incident at the restaurant in Emery Street last Wednesday night, October 9th. Avon and Somerset police were called shortly after 9:35 p.m. after 3 males stole food from McDonald's. They arrived at the scene at 9:40 but could not locate the suspects. A member of the public caught one of the boys involved and took a machete off of him and told staff at the restaurant about the bladed weapon. However, police said it was not used during the incident. However, he's carrying a machete around. I don't care if it wasn't used during the incident. So in theory, yeah, they didn't threaten anybody with a weapon. Okay. So anyway, he wrote. So anyway, the guy who stopped the kid said, "What's going on with you? What's going on with people? What's your name?" And you think it's clever to carry things like this around. And so anyway, there are quite a few machetes running around. That's a big problem. And one is a culture that has said, let's get rid of the guns, but unfortunately the knife and machete culture is really big, and machete culture seems to be growing. So you have to look at why are teenagers doing this? And what is happening so that they rove around in bands and carry machetes with them? One has to look at the issues. Don't get political here. I just want to point that out. That's a real issue with teenagers these days. In this area where I live in the U.S., we have teenagers committing carjackings right and left. It's unbelievable, and female carjackers too. What is going on? It's a nice area that I live in relatively. I mean, it's like, what the heck? And we also have a spate of ATM machines being stolen. I mean, like every 4 weeks, there's another one. So they just smash through the wall with a truck, pull out the ATM machine and drive off. Really? Now, let me show you how our area is handling this issue. Okay. This just blew me away. It's unbelievable. I'm like, what the heck? Are you kidding me? This is how you're going to deal with the problem. All right. So now let me find it. Here we go. All right. I have noted that one of the problems, I went into a grocery store the other day. I went to pick up, those little small, things you carry, right? Because you don't want a whole bunch of stuff. You just want to get like a few items and go and check out and leave. There were none there. And I asked the guy, so where are these things? And he said, he muttered something like he didn't want to tell me. So the next day I was over at the drugstore, CVS. Same thing. I walked in to get a few items. I didn't want to have to carry things in my arms like this. And I'm like, what the heck? Where are these things? And he goes, and so I walked up to this guy and said, look, why are there no little baskets anymore? And he says, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you this. Why not? He goes, but it's because people come in here, take the baskets, fill them up as quickly as they can with whatever the most expensive thing is they can get a hold of, and just run out the doors with them and steal everything. So we make them at least push the cart. Okay, so that's why we're not doing it. Also, because we got rid of plastic bags, people don't want to bring their own bags, so they use the carry thing as their bag. So they go and check out and they pay for the stuff, but then they just steal the thing and take it to their car and drive away. Now, mind you, they could theoretically take that to their car and dump it and bring that back to the store, but they don't. So anyway, and then we have the other problem with abandoned shopping carts, where people steal they pay for the stuff, but then they take the shopping cart and go down the road on foot with a shopping cart, take it to their apartment, get all their stuff in it, and then they take it outside and just dump it in a ditch. And it's a major issue. So so now the county I'm in is going to solve this problem. They're targeting it targets abandoned shopping carts with a new bill. Let's see how they're going to handle this problem. So the stores are losing their shopping carts due to theft. And we, the customers of those stores, have to pay more money because of all the thefts, right? And we don't have things to carry stuff around with anymore. Prince George's County, Maryland. Discarded shopping carts abandoned at bus stops and tossed in ditches may soon be a thing of the past. At least that's the hope of county leaders aiming to hold retailers accountable for the carts scattered around the county. There are now going after the stores. So the stores have stuff stolen from them, but it's the store's fault. So they're going to get penalized. All right. The workers come and get them, but people just take them and leave them there. 7 News found one shopping cart nearly a mile away from Target store where it belonged. Scenes like that are why Council Member Juanica Fisher sponsored a bill, that's a person I'll never vote for again, I never did probably, to make sure stores have more than 20 shopping carts, are clearly labeling their carts and taking steps to make sure those carts are secured. The reality is everyone in our community is stepping up to clean up our community, whether it's putting up a better fence or having a ring camera, and I just need retailers to meet the community halfway. Because we're all to blame for theft, because we make it too easy for criminals. Not the laws that allow criminals not to get charged, not to get arrested, and to get out without bail and get a slap on the wrist. Not that. That's not the problem. It's the citizens like me. For God's sakes, we should put up a large wall around our house and not let them come in and steal stuff. Where have I heard that? Not a political channel. Anyway, according to the bill that passed, the stores will be fined $2,000 if they're not using various measures to secure their carts. You can do the cartwheel freezing on the property. There's magnetic strips. If you go into certain stores, you can't even push carts out of the store because there's a big magnet on the door. Yeah, because you can't even get the crap to your car then. We have the option of a security guard, and security guards we know have no power whatsoever. They basically have to let everybody walk by. They're not allowed to stop anybody. We have an option of a security deposit, which would be a quarter into the card. Well, that 25 cents, that'll stop those bad criminals. The fine would apply every day and pile up until the business complies. A nuisance can become a really existential problem, said Fisher. It's a small thing. There are bigger things that we are doing at the council, but a small thing matters to people. Now, a representative of the Retailers Association said that stores are not permitting their carts to be moved. They're being stolen. They said that the cost to retrofit and safeguard the carts could get expensive, argued that the $2,000 fine is too high. It's unbelievable. It says, how are they going to do all this? And there's always going to be a way around it. Criminals find a way around it no matter what you do. So the only way this would work is that you absolutely cannot remove anything from the store. Well, good luck with that. It's so craziness. It's just craziness. Oh my God. Yeah, they're all over the place. In our area, there's a lot of them. They were talking about the stores everywhere where people just go in with bags and just throw everything in the bags and run out. So yeah, now okay. So now you don't provide them the cart, they'll bring their own. Are you allowed to bring your own? If I don't have something to hold my stuff in, can I bring my own bag and put the stuff in my own bag, the one I'm going to take out of the store because it's my own bag? It's this coddling of criminals is just insane. It's like, if we have, I believe in not overcharging, but on the other hand, if you let criminals run wild, which we are, especially with the teenage kind of teenage 20 group, it gets crazy. I mean, I just thought that was just a funny article. I'm like, yeah, Lord, you gotta be kidding me. It's just like, all right. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? This is a kid who's gone missing. I thought this was just interesting. And okay, where'd the kid go? Where's my child? No, tell me it's gone. No. Oh, there he is. There he is. Law enforcement believes Gumbus may still be in the region. This is the 13-year-old last seen on surveillance video leaving a car wash. And this is really sad. He's been missing now for 6 weeks. Now, let me tell you the story behind this. It's just, there's way more to the story. We don't see much about this, but it's just sad. It says here, a 13-year-old walked away from his mom at an Arizona car wash. He actually didn't walk away. He ran away. He jogged away. He wasn't walking. He was moving. A month later, he's still missing, and that's back in, so it's been 6 weeks, actually. It's been over a month now, 6 weeks, since 13-year-old boy walked away from his mom at an Arizona car wash, as local authorities continue a fervent search for the missing teen who has little familiarity with the area. And that's one of the really weird things about this. Elijah Gumbus has been missing since August 31st, and surveillance footage from the Weiss Guy car wash in Maricopa County shows the movements leading up to his disappearance. The boy who is wearing a red shirt in the video is seen hopping out of his mother's car and jogging west. Elijah's mother can be heard in the footage calling out his name multiple times before the video cuts off. There's a lot of areas there that he could have either met with somebody or taken off or hid or something like that. But the only information we have right now is the surveillance video that showed which direction he was going. What's interesting about this whole thing was this. At the time of his disappearance, Elijah's disappearance, his mother was driving from California to Louisiana for her work. I would love to know what her work is. That's a hell of a long drive for work. The mother and son stopped at the car wash in Arizona. And while she was cleaning the vehicle, Elijah jogged away. I find that kind of weird too. I mean, Arizona is not that far from California, and you're on a long road trip. Do you really clean your vehicle that early? Don't you clean it at the end? That's just me. All right. She's cleaning her vehicle, and he runs away. Neither Elijah nor his mother have ties to Arizona. So this isn't an area where they have relatives where he thinks I can run away and go hang out with my cousin or whatever, which makes this case even more problematic and worrisome. There have been custody issues between Elijah's father and mother, but neither live in Arizona, and the police have confirmed that the child is not with either one of them. The mother, this is what's also interesting. The mother, in another story about this, said, I think I have it here. Yeah, Garrett added Elijah and his mom were driving from California to Louisiana for her work. They stopped at a car wash, and his mom was in the process of cleaning the vehicle out when Elijah took off. Oh, no, that's not it. Shoot, sorry. Wrong clip. She claimed he got into a maroon vehicle. They say they can't verify that. What? So he jogs off and jumps in a vehicle. Whose vehicle? And she saw it that quickly. He would have to know he would have to know the person in the vehicle. I mean, it couldn't just be that she's standing there and he runs away and then somebody just lets this 13-year-old kid jump into their vehicle. Even if it was a predator, that wouldn't happen right there in front of the mother. It's very unlikely they would even know that what the kid was doing. So did he really jump into a maroon vehicle? What the heck? And so they won't verify it. So there's only one place I found that the mother claimed that. But yeah, we do see him running away in the video. I would like to know lots more about this. I would like to know how soon it was. I would like to know whether she called 911 right away and she was still standing in. I want to know if she's still in that at the car wash, or whether she left the car wash and called later. In other words, did she follow him with the vehicle and pick him back up again? And maybe she did something to him because he ran away from her. I don't have any more in the story. The story is very, very thin. But that child did not run away from that mother for no reason whatsoever. In the middle of nowhere. I can understand if it was near his house. He's just pissed off. He runs away. He's going to run home, go to a friend's house. He's in the middle of Arizona. What would make a kid run away from his mother in a state he has no knowledge of whatsoever? I don't even know if he had any money or anything with him, but he's been missing for 6 weeks. So that's not a good sign. Either mom did do something to him. She followed him and did something to him. Or if she really just stood there and watched him run away and he's not around, 6 weeks has gone by. That's not a good thing. What happens to a kid that runs away? He's kind of small kid too. What happens to a kid that age? Lots of things. Could be that a pedophile, well, it wouldn't be a pedophile, but, a guy who, pedophile-ish, a feeble-phile, somebody who likes teen boys, could have gotten hold of him. He could be in somebody's house, taken care of. He could be, people love to say sex trafficking all the time. He's not going to be kidnapped into sex trafficking, but if he's lost, doesn't have money, doesn't have food, somebody feeds him, gives him stuff and says, hey, how are you going to live without your parents? We have a way for you to make money. That's how you get involved in sex work. Not because you were kidnapped, but you were, one could say the keeping of that child, that age is kidnapping, and that legally is accurate. However, when people talk about sex trafficking and kidnapping, they often say that the kid was running down the road and somebody just grabbed him, immediately sex trafficked him. And that just doesn't usually happen. But I will say this, it'll happen more often with runaways, just the fact that they are runaways and that therefore they are, nobody's going to be looking for them immediately in that location. It's not like the kid's walking to the ice cream store down the block and gets kidnapped into sex trafficking. That doesn't happen. Predator will do that, but not sex trafficking. They don't want the police to pay attention to them. So they have enough kids who need drugs, place to stay, whatever, need money, that they can lure them into sex trafficking or sex work. I call it sex work, not sex trafficking, but sex work. What happened to this kid? I don't know, but it's a very strange story, and I feel sorry for that kid, but he ran away for a reason because, that didn't do it for nothing, Just checking your comments here. Yeah, that's true too. Numbing, alcohol, pot. Yes, drugs are often involved with a child who has run away from home, usually in the teens of some sort. They we got a way for you to make money because you can't just stay here and not make money. We got a way for you to make money. Here's some alcohol, here's some pot, here's something. Yeah, get your guard down. Now all you have to do is this. and we'll give you some money. We'll give you a room. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There are definitely lots of ways. Lots of things are used to keep that child under their control. There's no question about that. But runaways definitely have major issues. It's very sad. The Amy, I can't pronounce this kid's name. This is also new news. Where is she? Where's Amy? Oh, Amy. Amy. Well, the little teeny pictures. Where's my Amy? Wow. I tell you, I hate these little pictures so much. Now Amy disappeared. Maybe I did forget to bring that picture over. What the heck? Where'd Amy go? Hold on. Amy's missing. Oh, there she is. Oh, no, she was here. I can't see the stupid little things. Amy, I don't know how to pronounce this girl's name. Mihaljevic. This is a famous old case, and they've just got some new DNA, but it's not as exciting as people want to make it out to be. All right, here's what happened. New evidence found on Amy's clothes. All right. New developments coming to light in the Amy Mihaljevic case. It's been nearly 35 years since a 10-year-old from Bay Village was kidnapped and murdered, and there's no question about that. She was the one that somebody called up supposedly and go help her buy a present or something at the mall, and then she vanished. But they found the DNA. They have found male DNA on her clothing, on her sweatpants. And here's what it says. We've definitely found some male DNA on Amy's sweatpants that we feel is promising and may result in identifying somebody. We're hopeful. Now, first of all, that male DNA, again, we're talking touch DNA, most likely. It could belong to anybody, any male that she has contact with in a normal way. Sit on somebody's lap, have somebody touch her leg, whatever, roll around with a kid on the floor. A lot of times people forget that children transfer DNA to each other. And that is one of the most likely ways that DNA is going to end up in a kid's clothing, like JonBenet. I mean, they roll around all over the place. I saw my granddaughter yesterday. She was at a Girl Scout thing, and they were all on top of this. It was it? Gosh, I just blanked. I've lost my mind. Oh, it's Alzheimer's. No. Anyway, they were all rolling around together. I'm not going to say that. And they're all rolling around together, and on top of each other. There was 2 boys, 2 girls. They're just right. And so, how much DNA did she get on her? And not only necessarily touch DNA, but hammock. That's what I was trying to think of. A hammock between the trees, and they were flipping the hammock over and landing on top of each other. But not only does the DNA be transferred touch-wise, but little kids are drooly, spitty, licky. Their saliva is very easily transferred. So that those sweatpants could just be the saliva of another kid, could be a touch of another kid who happens to be male. So this to me is not huge news. Is it good news? Yes. But here we go. Let's go a little further on this. It's promising. The new discovery was made thanks due to new advances in DNA technology. However, what's the real problem now? Right now, we don't have technology in the DNA world to come up with a DNA profile. So they've got male DNA, that much they were able to determine, but they don't have enough to actually do a full profile. And it says here, but that technology could be developed very soon. So there you are. There is only thing they know is it's male DNA, and there's not enough DNA methodologies now for the size of the DNA to actually get a DNA profile. So I don't know what it proves at this point. So I think a lot of people got excited, but unfortunately, it's not really great info. So drool rules. People do forget how easy spit does land on people, even when they speak. Some people spit a lot when they speak. Kids, and then they put their hand on the other kid, and put their hand on another kid. That just happens all the time. They share stickers, all kinds of stuff. So the concept that a male DNA, unless it's semen, if it's semen, there's an issue there. Unless it's semen, or maybe blood, although kids bleed a lot too, those little creatures, they scrape themselves and they can put their arm on them, and it could be blood too. So unless semen is the definitive one where pretty much small children shouldn't actually have their little male friends semen on them. I mean, one hopes not. So, but that would be something you really look at. But the other stuff is questionable. Now, should you test it? Well, sure. When you test that kind of thing, what happens is if it comes up with somebody who absolutely should not have had their DNA on the person, absolutely, like the kid doesn't even know that person. Let's say it's touch DNA, and the kid doesn't even know the person. The family doesn't know that person. It's a child predator from down the street. Then it means something. But a lot of times what will happen when people try to say that, especially when it's theorized to be a family homicide, something within a family, they'll have unknown DNA and they will hang on that, because a lot of times every kid that was ever around their kid was never tested. So they don't know if it's some other kid's DNA or not, but they'll just put that out there just to make it look like it's a stranger DNA. And the stranger DNA is obviously an adult when there's no proof of that. So Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar. How did Pablo Escobar come in here? But by the way, if you ever want to see one of the best shows ever done, it's a Colombian telenovela, and it's called El Patron del Mal, the patron of evil, and it's all about Pablo Escobar. And the guy who plays Pablo Escobar is phenomenal, and beats out the American crap on Pablo Escobar. Don't watch that stuff; it's not good, but it's great. Pablo Escobar, that guy plays him. You could swear it's him. No, he's amazing. So great show. I don't think so. Now I'm going to sit here and be stupid. Male or female? When you have very limited DNA, you can't come up with much of anything, except, yes, you can tell it's male or female. I don't know how you tell it's an adult or a kid. In what way? DNA is DNA. Your DNA doesn't change when you're a kid to when you're an adult, unless I've forgotten something in the old DNA thing. I watched one of the female Mexican drug bosses. Who was that? I'm trying to think of which one that is. I've probably seen her. Pat should have these kids drooling around and drool and spit chat with teens. Good birth control. Well, it might be. Yes, they are. They are very good. I like the Colombian ones. There's another one called, what's it called? It's about the singer, and it's really good. It's got see, during a show you just can't come up with all this stuff. What is the name of that one? Columbia Music. I'm gonna have to look this one up now because I love that one. If you want to see a good one, you haven't seen it yet. It's a good. It has crime in it too, but it's just really done. Colombian music telenovela. I'm trying. And I think they had 2 seasons of it, and I've been waiting for the third one. Let's see if I can find it. Telenovela. I'm doing this, typing wrong. Queen of Flow. There we go. See? Okay, Queen of Flow. It's called La Reina del Flow. It's a Colombian telenovela. It's about reggaeton music. I love the music from this thing. Is phenomenal. I love every song that's in this one. So it's reggaeton, and it's really good. It's just super. Yeah, it's really fun. So yeah, watch that. It's called The Queen of Flow. Also, La Reina del Flow. It's on Netflix, so you can see it. First season was like 100 episodes. Yeah, well, they're very long. So yeah. My other favorite one is Señor de los Cielos, which is about the drug guy who is the first one to start flying in drugs, and it's a telenovela, and it's a fictionalized version of it, but he's hot as hell. So it's like, yeah, you watch it and you go, okay, is it major drug dealer, and but hey, he's cute. But those are really good ones. Okay, to end the show, I'm just going to do something very simple, which is just this funny one that makes me laugh, which is Dear Abby, it just cracked me up. So Dear Abby, Dear Abby, recently my wife and I, you just tell me what you think before I answer mine. Dear Abby, recently my wife and I and several other couples were house guests in a large home. Among them was a couple who, when introduced, mentioned that the husband was a chiropractor. The following day, as we were all watching TV, my wife mentioned having neck and arm discomfort. The chiropractor offered to adjust her neck and back, and they left. After 30 minutes, I became concerned. After an hour, other guests were raising their eyebrows. I checked the house and couldn't find them, but I didn't look in the bedrooms with closed doors. After 90 minutes, I quietly asked his wife where they were, and she said in their bedroom. I requested she check on them, and they promptly came out. There wasn't a scene, but I was upset. I was later advised that my attitude was inappropriate. I'd appreciate your take on the situation. 90 minutes. That is, I mean, I don't even think if you go to a chiropractor, you ever there for 90 minutes, just for a small adjustment. I think he adjusted something, but I'm not so sure it was her neck and back. Yeah, I bet he did. Oh my God. You are a P. Diddy's. I got a pelvic adjustment. That one's good. I like that one. Oh my God. Lord. Oh my gosh. Well, dear Abby does sort of answer correctly. Dear dumbfounded, I don't think your attitude is inappropriate. You were uncomfortable because of your wife's long absence with another man while everyone else was mingling. That the chiropractor's wife knew where her husband and your wife were suggests to me there was nothing for you to worry about. Okay, Abby, again, you do not seem to understand things. But your feelings under circumstances, you're entitled to them. I think if your wife goes away with another man to a back bedroom, I don't care what his excuse is, there's issues going on here. Sorry, 90 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe. 90 minutes. And here's another thing, by the way. First of all, it was 100% inappropriate for her to ask for a professional to do his services for free while they're at a party. So there's a big issue right there. That wife asking that, and he even going along with it, he should easily have said, oh, no, I can't do that here. I know. You'll have to come to my office. The fact that she even asked and that he went along with it, I'm going to say this was the second time they were together. I'm going to say something happened the first time they were together and they wanted to spend a little extra time alone. Yeah. I think I go to the wrong parties. Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking he might want to consider his wife's. Yeah, here's something I always say to people. When you are that suspicious of your mate, you probably have a good reason. Because if you're not suspicious, probably nothing's happening. But if you're suspicious of what they're doing, people always say, should I hire a private investigator? Why? You already kind of know what's going on, don't you? Don't waste your money. If you have to hire a private investigator, unless that private investigator can, in the days where when you were trying to get a divorce, you got to get pictures of them in the bedroom or something. Unless you're trying to do that, if you already have all those questions enough to hire a private investigator about whether your mate is cheating on you, they're cheating on you. You probably don't need all that, because why would you be that suspicious unless you're one of those completely overly jealous people? In that case, you got the problem, not the other person. But if you actually aren't an overly jealous person, but I just don't understand why she's staying late at the office, for 2 nights a week. And I call her and she never answers, and, this kind of stuff. And why would this be? I think, could something be going on? Yes. Yeah. Yes, your gut is telling you something. Also, your brain is telling you something. So when you get to that point, it's something wrong in your relationship. Period. Otherwise, you wouldn't even go there. I mean, why would you suspect that unless you suspect that? So anyway, I thought that was just kind of interesting. I think that's it. Let me see. I have bunches of other stuff, but I always have so much other stuff. I want to do that, but I'm going to do that next week. Yeah, I'm going to stop now so I can take my granddaughter to a soccer game. And I will be back on Sunday, hopefully without the dogs barking on that particular show, which will be get the name of the girl again. This is the Mexican case of Paulette. Forget her full name. Her name is, there it is, Paulette Gabarra Farah. And she is the little 4-year-old girl who, it was a huge case in Mexico, huge. And it's very bizarre. And if you still have time, you can watch it on Netflix. It's called The Search. It's called The Search, but I forgot the word in Spanish. It is called, and I started watching it and didn't like it, but then it grew on me. So you still have time to watch that before the show on Sunday. Well, what the heck happened to my Netflix now? Oh, for God's sakes. Okay, that's where not that. Why is that not coming up? If you understand, this is just my entertainment area. These are all I stream all of about tons of these for purposes of watching documentaries. When people say I can't find things, it's because I have crap loads of stuff. That's just under entertainment. So you lose things. I can't even find my Netflix thing under that. Oh, there it is. Okay, it is called. I just want to get you the proper name of it. I've already. I think I'll send you over the link tomorrow to the show. But what's it called? No, I can't find it. La Buscada? La Busqueda. Oh, La Busqueda. La Busqueda is what it's called. La Busqueda. The Search. It is in Spanish. Yes, it has English subtitles. It does. And it's very interesting and it's very peculiar. It's a very strange case. And I'm now reading the book that was written by, it's all in Spanish. So I have to translate the whole thing using Google Translator page by page. But I wanted to get more details on the case. And obviously not Netflix is as usual as a document. Well, it's a fictionalized version of, it's not a documentary, it's a fictionalized version. And it is really well done. After I got through the first bit, which annoyed me. But I just don't feel like I have as many details as I would like to have. So I'm going to get as much as I can from that book and wherever else I can find anything before I do the show on Sunday. But it's a fascinating case. Absolutely fascinating. Oh, somebody's raising. Sarah's raising her hand. Yes. Oh, come on. They're in box. See, people don't get this. If people tell me how to do all these things as if those are boxes. That was just my entertainment box. They're not loose. I have, those are every one of the boxes on my iPhone. It's just that compared to a lot of people, I have masses of quantity of stuff. They are all in their places, but once you go to their places, there's still masses in those places. So it doesn't quite work like that. Aaron Hernandez. Do I have to? Why do I want to do Aaron Hernandez? I mean, is there an issue? Because I don't. I don't. No problem. But it's just funny because a lot of people tell me these different things to do, and they're great suggestions if they were possible, or I hadn't already done them. But I can't explain to people when you don't edit, you get what you're seeing is behind the scenes. If all those people you see have edited, have videos, they're an hour, 2 hours long, and they're smooth and everything is perfect, they're all edited. What you get here is real. You get a person who can't remember the name of the person. You get a person who can't find the picture. You get a person, whatever, makes a mistake, says something wrong. All edited stuff. When you make a mistake, if you stumble on the word, if I say la buscada and not la busqueda, I go la buscada and I go, that's not right. And I look it up and go, la busqueda. Then I just edit out the part where I said it wrong. So you sound so super professional and everything's perfect. Yeah, I don't have time for all that crap. So, so I just do things straight up. And yes, I do shorter videos, and rare occasion most of my videos that I do too, 30-minute hour video on some case that I put out there. I usually go straight through on those too, just because I hate editing. And only when there's a major mess, then I get my son to fix it for me. But other than that, I just don't like editing. So, well, thank you. It's not going to change because I have energy. Yeah, there are tons of documented. Why do I care? That's what question. It's going to be 4 o'clock on Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern time. So, but remember, the only reason when I do case shows, analyses of case shows, I do them because I find there's something for me to talk about that hasn't been done in the rest of the media. I'm not a storyteller, so I'm not going to just tell the story. So there has to be an issue. Either for me to analyze all the evidence to such a point where it helps people understand the case better, or to prove that who did it, or not prove who did it, but point to who did it or who I think did it. There has to be a reason for me to do it. That's why sometimes when people recommend cases, I don't ever do them. It's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because it's just nothing for me to do with it. If I were a storyteller, life would be easy. I wouldn't even have to worry about analyzing. I just tell stories, and that would be that. So you have to. We'll never run out of cases. That's for sure. I got a backlog of cases that I can analyze. It just, which one do I get to next is the question. Like this Gabara case, the Paulette case, I've been asked about that for a really long time. Let me tell you some of the ones I'm planning to do. Kanika Powell, a lot of people asking me about that one. Noah Pressgrove, I'm on the edge on trying to still figure that one out. I've just got tons of them here. The Circleville writer, Sri Devi, Alistair Wilson, Amanda Blackburn, Jordan Brown, Joseph Fritzl, what's it say? Christian Longo. I mean, these are just ones that I don't even know if I'm going to do. I might do Sweet Bobby coming. That's now on Netflix, about the woman who got catfished. Caitlin Conley, I might do something on her. So there's so many of them, but sometimes I just get them in rows, and then whatever strikes me, I might go back, and that will be the one I'll finally do. So, yeah, but that is true. But I'm not here to get justice for people. I have to say that over and over again. I'm not crime solving, and I'm not putting out. Some people say thank you for keeping your name out there. Not why I do the show. People who do storytelling and want to be victims advocates, that's their job. This is an educational channel just to help people understand how to analyze. I'm not solving cases. I wish I were. I wish I were out there being able to work with the police departments, actually solving the cases, and promoting profiling within police departments. But I recognize at this point in time that's not happening. So I try to teach so that maybe in the future it will be solved, but not by me. I'm not saying they won't use some of my methodologies. Maybe even come up with the same suspect and solve the case. But, I'm not here to solve the cases. So just because still don't know. Still don't know what you want me to do with Tina Brandon. Yes, that's also on the list. Barefoot Bandit. I did want to talk about the Barefoot Bandit. Yes, I did. There's just so many of them. But you have to keep reminding me. And I'm not the most organized person, so I'm taking pictures of this. So sometimes I don't put them in the to-do cases, and I forget to do it. And then somebody comes back 6 months later and tells it to me again, and I put it in the to-do cases. But I still don't know what you want me to solve. What about Aaron Hernandez? I don't know what the issue is. So, well, you could say that, but that's not the point of the channel. Is my whole thing. I still don't know about. She's not going to answer me. Sarah, what about Aaron Hernandez do you want me to even look at? Because I'm really not sure. Um, just have to remind her, not remind her. That might be true too. Oh my gosh. Is he guilty? Hernandez? That's always. I mean, I haven't looked at that case in years. Oh, is that what your issue is? Is he guilty or not? Oh, brain injury crap. You mean blaming what he did on brain injury? Okay, I'll give you this. I'll relook at it because I don't. It's been so long. What's that dang thing? Oh, the murder of Odin Lloyd was dating his sister. Okay, days after. Oh, he was acquitted of the double homicide. He was found dead in his cell. Because he had CTE. Oh, I see what you're saying. May have affected his behavior. Well, I'll look at it. I'm not sure. Maybe I can talk about it the next hangout. I'm not sure. It's an entire show, but one of the problems we have with it may have affected his behavior. That's the same thing we have with any kind of claim that this affected the behavior. And it's a may, or this may have caused the death of. But the question is, did it? What are the odds? What if you look at the statistics, what are the odds that would cause this person to do that? And if it's like the odds are really like extraordinarily low, statistics don't come up. They come up with people with tons of brain injuries who don't murder people. Is that just a defense tactic? And that's the question. And that's what's being used. That's what's being used with the Roberson case too. They claim that the daughter died of undiagnosed pneumonia in children. They didn't prove that. They're just coming up with that as a possibility. Well, maybe it was this. Sure, maybe, but there's no proof of that, and you're ignoring all the other evidence, all of it. So he did all these things to her, and she has toxic levels in her system of the drug, but she died of pneumonia. Okay. Literally, you can come up with that on defense. I mean, I think I could make a list of all the excuses the defense will come up with on all these different people as reasons why it could have been that. So I'll look at it again. Maybe I'll talk about it next week. So, well, yeah, there you go. He may sneezed and accidentally pulled the trigger as he pointed the gun at the victim. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what happened. And, people will say this. They'll go, well, it's possible. Sure, but first of all, you got to understand why he's pointing the gun at the victim to begin with. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that. And then you have to look at the history of him and the victim and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, these are the kind of things they come up with. As, you look at, is it probable? And the answer is no. But is it possible? Well, there's so many things that are possible. So many things that are possible. Is it possible Scott Peterson did not commit the crime? That everything was a coincidence? Sure. Is it possible that the burglars really did commit the crime? Sure. But that's not how the way the system works. The system works is when you look at all the evidence, what's the totality of the evidence tell you? And the totality of the evidence is clearly there, then that's that, regardless of whether you can pull some possibility out of your ass. It's like, and then they'll go to aliens. If nothing else works, you go to aliens. And then people say, well, you can't deny aliens exist. Okay. You can't prove aliens don't exist. Well, that's true. I can't prove they don't exist. So therefore you can't prove that aliens didn't abduct the person. Okay. There's a logic in that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So who? Indrani wait a minute. They're Indrani Mukherjee. I don't think I know that case. Which one is Indrani Mukherjee? Wait a minute. Do I know this case? Indrani Mukherjee. Let me see. Oh, that she murdered her kids. Oh, wait a minute, do I know this one? I'm trying to see if I know this one. Oh, wait a minute. Is this the one? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is this the one? Oh, yeah. Oh, Sheena Bora. It's a Sheena Bora case. Oh, yeah. Okay, the Sheena Bora case. This one, I have watched the documentary on it, and I want to do that case. It is very bizarre, and I've been going. I mean, I'm not too fond of her. not the kid. The Sheena Bora was fine. Her mommy, who has been accused, Adrani. That's a cold woman. Let me tell you. However, I'm just trying to understand how it went down, because clearly she was murdered. It's a very bizarre case. So I want to be able to actually go into all the psychology of it, because it's fascinating. Yeah, it is. It is early. You say it's on Netflix. Yes. And I have to go back and watch it. I watched it and I was going to do a thing on it, and then I forgot. And so I'll have to watch it over again. But I wanted so many more details, and some of them are missing from that. So that's why I've got to figure out how they arranged this thing to happen and who was behind it exactly. It is bizarre. And she had everything. So she had no good reason to kill off her daughter. So she probably did, but very interesting. Anyway, okay. I gotta go now. Go get my granddaughter. Okay. So anyway, thank you very much. And if you do want to read my book with it's pretty with this italics. It's now available if you don't want to read the download. But if you don't want to read it with italics and you really would love this book, give me a couple months so I can figure out how the hell to put back the normal print that they took out when they printed it. So go figure. So anyway, thank you all. And it was a quiet time. The dogs were inside. That worked so far. And I have the outside sound deafening thing. Hopefully we won't have the problem again. And it's so annoying. I mean, yeah, when things are not in your control, it gets very difficult. And I don't control the dogs next door, except I did put them in. And I said I'd come over at 6 o'clock and let them out, just so, because my granddaughter's there with her grandpa over there, but he doesn't want to deal with the dogs, so that leaves me. So, and if there other people are home, they can let the dogs out, and I won't have any control. But again, in the future, if that happens, I'll say, "Hold on, I hear dogs. Wait a minute," and I'll go take care of it and run back, and I'll have to get my son to edit the show. That's the only thing I can think of doing. So anyway, thank you guys for being here, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye.